Good morning. We are at Remo Belly Vineyards here today in Paso on the west side. It's one of the Zinfandel blocks that they have here, and we are pruning today. So this is a block that has not been pruned yet, and I'm going to swing over here on the side of the road and show you what has been done. So we are working to raise these plants up and spread out some of their canopy so it shades properly. Normally the plant would be this high, and we've done over the last few years, it's actually taken some canes up, and over the next few years that taller cane will now extend this huge portion here, and we'll be able to spread the plants out a little bit evenly, and that's done throughout the whole vineyard. So we're here to work with Nick Valdez, our vineyard manager and very close friend, to continue this process of raising some of these grapes so we can kind of change the way we farm it. There is irrigation lines here, but we don't use them. Nick doesn't use them unless they're absolutely needed. So this is Remo Belly Vineyards. There's the house there, and you got 26 acres here planted in 4 or 5 different blocks. There's southwest facing Paso. Hope you guys are having a great morning. Talk to you soon. Here we are in the vineyard again. We're give you guys a little bit of a shot here. So here's a chunk of dirt that comes out of the vineyard. You can see it's full of this calcareous limestone in here, which makes Paso fairly unique with its flavors and the way that we farm it. Here's a chunk of dirt that we've taken out, so you can kind of see the layers that the vines have to struggle through and go through to grow and get their water. Here's an unpruned plant. We go about 8 canes or 8 spurs per year. So if you come over here, here's one we've already pruned back. You can Galvan over here is got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Each one of these canes will, each one of these spurs will produce 2 fruiting canes, and we will let both canes produce the fruit, but we'll drop the shoulders off of each one of them on the fruit. Shoulders meaning the grape clusters end up breaking themselves into 2 main stalks, and we cut off the smaller one. This is the prune vine. I'll take you over here to deer damage. Check it out. It's brand new. A little bit of deer damage or evidence of the deer been in the vineyard Galvan just found, so we'll look at what we're going to do about that. But I'm going to walk over here and show you how a master does his work. Show you how this is Galvan. Good morning, Nick.
Good morning.
Nate, say hello.
Good morning.
You're gonna watch Galvan do his best here. He knows exactly how to farm it and what to do. So he would go through here and break off everything pretty quick. Just drop it an edge because there's too many canes on it. And ultimately what you have is a finished vine ready for production this year. Watch him run through this whole one. So there's a lot of thought in each vine you've got to look at and see if it's specific to the way you want to do it, and make adjustments as you go on each vine. So normally this takes quite a bit, but Galvan's been doing it for 35 years, so he just blasts through it and gets it done, and just like that, you're ready to go. Ready for a nice concentrated Zinfandel next year. We're going to come up and do the rest of these or work on them today, and there you go. Little lesson on what we do here in the off time in Paso. Each row has been already tilled and disked, and then there's cover crop planted under each every other row. And when we get some water up here, get some rain, the cover crop will come in, we'll redisc it, and that'll put a little bit more moisture into the soil for the summertime. Again, there's irrigation on these lines, but we try not to use them at all unless we have to, so we rely on the soil holding most of it throughout the summer. I'll let you guys finish watching Galvan here do his magic, just like that. Beautiful, brisk, cold morning in Paso, pruning vines. Here we are pruning one of the vines, and I've got a big long arm in my hand, and you can see that there's this little tiny shoot coming off of it, and the other one up above is very long and either. And Nick's noticed that that the vine is actually telling us something, that this long of an arm should normally have quite a bit of nutrition going through it, being able to supply these canes with a lot more energy than to produce something like this. So it's where the experience of farming comes in and teaches you that Nick calls listening to the dead here, and it's telling you something's wrong here. So with their confidence, they have decided to literally lop off years and years and years of growth because they see something's not going right here. And with the confidence, what you get is you end up breaking this off here and cutting it off completely. And you can tell the white ring here is the only thing that's giving the plant nutrients. Everything else has been rotted through the center of the vine. So where experience in farming comes in, knowing what you're doing and listening to the plant. Good example of how farming sometimes cannot be just done by reading a book. You got to have years of experience to have the confidence to lop off 45 years worth of growth because the plant's telling you that there's something wrong inside of it. And again, you got about 15% of the plant actually still throwing nutrients up into this arm, which was affecting the growth of those spurs and those canes. So what he's done here is he's gone back, and you can see this other little guy right here that he has left in its place for next year that he knows has no rot or anything, and now the plant won't continue to throw energy into this large dead plant. It will now shift all of its energy into producing another cane off of this, and the cycle will continue. Cheers. Another example of some of the stuff we do here in the vineyard. So that one's pruning the vine. Just gave a reference to us from the Bible in the way that he prunes the vines. He you know, that the canes here go to the ground and they can become bad, and basically prunes the vines like he would, like his own body. He removes the bad in hopes to make life more fruitful. That's his whole terminology when each one of these plants he touches. You're looking down the row here, you can see this row has not been planted with a cover crop. We plant every other row. You come over here and you can see the small lines down the row here. This has been planted with a cover crop, probably of peas, and we throw the dead clippings not down the row that's been disked, but down the row that's been disked and planted with cover crop. And then the reason we do that is Nick will come back through here with the tractor when the cover crop has done its job, and he'll not only till under the cover crop, but he'll also mulch up all of these branches. And it's just another way of farming when you're not dealing with being able to irrigate a lot, and you're not trying to produce a lot of fruit. You're trying to produce a lot of concentration in a small amount of fruit. The soil has to do the job of feeding the vines very slowly and making them struggle a little bit. So this gets all tilled under with the cover crop, and it creates every other row. We end up with a fair amount of nutrients being put back in the soil, kind of the cycle of life, and it also helps to thin that calcareous dirt out and create a little bit more of a pad to hold moisture throughout the summer. And every other row we do that. Let you come up here and watch Galvan go at it again here. Again, he's trying to leave 8 of these spurs left. Each spur has, or each arm will have 2 spurs on it. Each spur will produce a fruiting cane. Each fruiting cane will produce 2 clusters of fruit. Those 2 clusters of fruit, we will either thin the fruit off of them, or at least pull the shoulders off of each cluster to kind of thin out the amount of fruit. We'll go back and kind of fine tune it as the year goes here. So. Got this little 6-year-old plant going here, and kind of wondering why it's struggling compared to the others, and kind of find out why. So deer can come in here quite a bit, and I'll show you some evidence here. When everything goes dry up here in Paso, the animals are trying to find any moisture, anything to eat, because it goes from plentiful to nothing really quickly. So here you can see a vine that a deer has been chewing on quite a bit. Focusing here on the plant itself. So they've been in here, and back over to this vine. Deer aren't the only problem we have. Bird, obviously, throughout the growing season when the fruit gets through abrasion, but another example of the little pesky guys we deal with, squirrels. So you can see the path they've come in here, and you can see quite a bit of the original size of the plant, and you can almost draw a line down from my hand in here. We've been eaten by squirrels that are chewing at the root, try to get any moisture still coming out of the plant. So squirrels are an issue, deer are an issue, water's an issue. It's just a different way of farming than the big guys. A lot of labor intensive work, but pays off in the end. You farm it differently, you make different wines, and it's one of the reasons that small lot wines that have a lot of love and passion put into the vineyard end up being priced differently and everything else, just because of the different amount of work.
This is deer eating and also scraping their horns against the limbs. They pressed so hard that they actually broke the stake.
They broke the stake off, yeah.
They broke the stake off from trying to when they're rutting, and they're rubbing their horns up against it.
Right, and you can see all the damage here that they've been eating. Like Nick said, this stake normally would go right next to the plant here, but they've rubbed their antlers off and completely broken the stake. So, more examples of what you have to deal with. It's not a science, it's definitely an art, and nothing but years of experience get you to correct all the problems. So Nate and I and Nick just spent about an hour or so going through. You see this white stakes in the distance there off the right side, the property line through here, and we're taking 3 rows of these 50-year-old Zinfandel vines, originally planted by Richard Syrah here on the west side of Paso. And the reason we're doing all this filming is kind of documenting the process of retransplanting these plants down to Valencia. So we are proud to announce that we're working with College of the Canyons to actually transplant all of these plants down onto the campus there. We've staked out a vineyard, and these plants will all be transplanted the next couple of months, so we'll keep documenting the process. You can see some of these have been pruned, some haven't, right down these first 3 rows along the stakes. Nate and I have just gone through and pruned them all, so when we transplant them all, we're already all pruned back for the season. So good things to come, and stay tuned, and as we document the process of transplanting these plants, replanting them, and ultimately getting College of the Canyon its first